Outer sequence initiated. Copy.
The second umbilical now separating from the tower, marking less than 15 seconds. The engine's igniting. Ramping up.
Light speed. Engines at maximum thrust.
And liftoff. A year in space starts now. Kelly, Kornienko, and Padalka on their way towards the International Space Station.
Thrusters are in the elevated mode. Copy, everything is fine on board. We are feeling good.
Getting good first stage performance. The Soyuz delivering about 930,000 pounds of thrust through its 4 strap-on boosters and single engine.
The thrusters of the first stage are operating nominally. Copy, everything.
Getting reports, nominal operation. The first stage measuring 68 feet in length and 24 feet in diameter, burning liquid fuel for the first 2 minutes and 6 seconds into the flight.
Gradually, copy. 40 seconds into the flight, stabilization is stable.
Continuing to get views from the cabin inside, as you heard NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman, a fairly smooth flight into orbit for these crew members.
60 seconds. Pitch, yaw, and roll are all nominal.
The crew looking good inside. Again, Padalka in the center, Kornienko on the top of your screen. Getting a look now at NASA astronaut Scott Kelly there in the right seat. Giving a big thumbs up.
200 seconds into the flight, the thrusters of the second stage are functioning nominally. Copy, everything is fine on board. We are feeling good.
С женами они обнимались.
Да.
А я рядом 27. 3. 15. Так.
That's a good sign for the guy about to spend a year in space.
Yeah, doesn't matter, right?
That's cool.
Yeah. Should I put 2016?
We good?
Cool.
We good?
Yeah. Scott.
All right.
Вы, guys, мы в следующий раз.
Ready. I got something for you. Sonia!
I have no recollection. Hey Charlotte, you want to be lifted up?
Next year.
Give him a high five. There you go. That hurt.
Сергей Федорович. А, стоял бы ты умничка, да. Сергей Николаевич.
Сейчас через 3 недели минус 5 килограмм. Да. С лишней уходит. Откорми же.
На Ирейде.
Вентиляция шумит, Валерий Григорьевич.
Тысячи людей.
Почему?
Ему уложили специально.
Да? Нет, есть специальный что-то такое.
Не, а потом триммер в бритве есть.
Первым автобусом, правильно, отрастишь.
Я иду в первое, потом остальное.
Я забыл просто. Их попадал. Там ларек есть. Они при мне подогнали все 20 минут, погулял и сделали все там. Потери мешки сделали классно.
Дарья снимает и порой. Сара пришла.
Если все, конечно, That's hilarious. I got it on video. Dad still loves him. Dad still loves him.
С перчатками все нормально? С перчатками все нормально?
Нормально. Перчатки работают.
А чего произошло?
Флажки взяли шарик?
Нам не разрешили.
Флажки взяли шарик?
Я вот это.
Нельзя.
Чего вы рассказываете?
Так, это все, задокументировал, да? Молодец.
Ian Hollis every day?
Ну,
Every day?
нет. А кто вас там говорил? Я вижу. Кто там за инструкцию изгнал? Тише.
I'm doing a video.
Молодец. Молодец. Ну, Валерий
I want you
Григорьевич.
to take more
А как
inspiration.
еще?
А вот именно, как еще? Как еще можно назвать, Валерий Григорьевич? Как еще надо?
Oh, you're gonna get my myself.
Нет. Просто запретила называть дедом.
Да ничего за издевательство. Я сам не запретила.
А просто если по Подоле.
Сейчас на руководство будет прийти.
Все то же самое.
Мы с тобой договорились. Сначала был
Потом надо вы еще раз дадите.
Вот, да.
господа встали.
Пока, папа. Пока. Мы не уходим. А, нет.
Экипаж полет готов.
Я не слышу.
Развлекайте дальше.
Я тебя не слышу. Я вам сказала, развлекайте.
Мы
Вкусно?
уже рассказали.
А что ел?
Макарончики.
Ой.
Я...
Это тебя история развеселила.
Почему?
Нет. Ну, вы сильно расслабили, хорошо. Ну, у вас вперед.
Ну, конечно, ты же должен. Пока.
Вы действительно команда, и надеемся на вашу, и уверены в вашей слаженной работе на борту. Вы знаете, к кому обратиться, и всегда готовы с вами связаться. Все, что необходимо, все наши службы будут обеспечены.
It's great for me to be here with my good friend Igor. We're excited about the flight. He and I had a long conversation last night, and as he says, our intent is to be here whenever you need us. You know, Mikhail, you and Scott, the world is excited about your mission. It's the beginning of a new phase of exploration between our two countries, for one thing, and it takes us a little bit farther on the journey to Mars, so that's really important for us.
Счастливого полета, удачной работы, отлично. Будем ждать вас на Земле. Кого полгода, кого год. Будем очень долго, очень сильно ждать. Успехов.
Gennady, Mikhail, and Scott, it is great to see you. Enjoy Space Station and take good care of Space Station for us.
Все нормально.
Руки поднимите, помашите. Вправо-влево. И на меня. Speed. Be safe. Пожалуйста, внимание. Пожалуйста, внимание. И еще раз, пожалуйста. Борисович! Руку подняли. Удачи, ребята! Удачи всем! Запекание позвольте! Запекание позвольте! Я позволю. Крики сверху.
Mike Seferdini, ISS Program Manager. Mike, a year in space underway for Scott Kelly and Mikhail Kornienko. Your reaction to the launch?
Well, as always, the launch is fantastic to watch. Even with the cloud cover, it makes the whole pad glow, so at nighttime it's a spectacular sight. But I think on the International Space Station, we have been working for some time to do the necessary studies to convince ourselves we know how to mitigate the deleterious effects of space. And I think this is the most overt step that we've taken where everybody can kind of think about the fact this is a year in space. We're kind of taking a step, 6 months to a year, and then a year to a year and a half. We're making our steps towards how long we have to be in space to go to Mars. And so, of course, this is a major step for us, a major moment, but it really highlights that space station is a necessary step towards exploration, the first step towards exploration.
Mike, much has been made over the last weeks and months about Kelly and Kornienko. How will they make it? Marathon versus a sprint. But from a programmatic standpoint, how do you as the program manager manage all of the traffic, all of the science that they'll encounter over the next year?
Well, and that is a challenge. Not only are we doing one-year experiments on these two gentlemen, but we also have our full suite of 6 months experiments going as well. In addition to that, for this particular period of time, we're reconfiguring the International Space Station for docking of the commercial crew vehicles, which is a major change. We're moving some elements around, adding docking ports. And so it's a busy time. The crew time is very constrained. And so really the job of the program is to balance all those priorities while we continue to do the critical research we do and still get the reconfiguration done. So it's a balancing act, but it's one we're very familiar with.
And Mike, a significant time for the International Space Station. These two guys are going to be flying over the 40th anniversary of Apollo Soyuz and the 15th anniversary of a permanent human occupancy on the station. How significant is that for the program and the steps that lie ahead?
Well, when you think about Apollo Soyuz, it really was the first step in our cooperation with our Russian colleagues, and which laid the foundation for cooperation amongst many partners. So to me, the 40th anniversary is important. The 15th anniversary is not only the anniversary of 15 years of human presence on ISS, but I think it punctuates the Apollo Soyuz first step. And so I look at it as sort of a step towards our final destination, the idea that we went from Apollo Soyuz to the International Space Station today. The International Space Station is really the first step in human exploration beyond low Earth orbit. And so we've got at least 15 more years of ISS, and then the whole international partnership will start moving forward. And this, to me, not only highlights our past and what we've done to date, but it smiles brightly on our future going beyond low Earth orbit.
Bill Gerstenmaier, NASA's Associate Administrator for Human Exploration Operations. Bill, thunderous launch to begin a year in space. Your thoughts about the start of this marathon mission?
Again, just an amazing launch here, but then when I think about the year ahead, I think of it in a very different way. You know, we kind of got used to the 6-month periods, but now to see this 1 year and to think about all the work that's gone into planning for the research, the activities that the crew has planned on orbit is just exciting to see that get kicked off and to see the teams get to execute all these plans they've put together.
What will be, in your opinion, the most challenging aspect of these two guys spending a year together and doing all the work that lies ahead?
Again, I think if I just look at the activities, there's just a tremendous amount of work planned for this year. You know, some of the investigations are very complicated where they're done partially on the U.S. segment, then they move over to the Russian segment for a portion of the activities, and then they come back to the U.S. segment. I mean, it's just amazing to see how much work they're going to have to do during this year expedition. So I think the thing is we used to think about 180 days being a marathon, and we had to really pace ourselves. When I think about this year expedition, we really need to pace ourselves and just make sure we're in it for the long haul and we can do things and move out at the right pace. But tremendous number of investigations. It'll be exciting to see them kind of get ticked off and to see the changes in the crew throughout the year.
NASA Administrator Charles Bolden in Baikonur. Sir, the one-year mission embarking with great interest around the world, an important mission, an intriguing flight. What is it that is inspirational, and what is it that is so intriguing about an American and a Russian flying together for a year in space?
I think anytime you get an American and a Russian doing something to the successful extent that we have been doing now for more than 14 years with the International Space Station, it should be big news. It unfortunately is not the news it should be. But the critical importance of this particular mission with Scott and Mikhail as a team, it will be to show once again that when people come together with a common goal and a common objective, and this time it's to gather more information about the human body to help us on our path to Mars. When that happens, there is no limitation to what we can accomplish. So that's the lesson of this crew and this mission.
The Soyuz crew patch for the crew shows marathon runners. So not only for the crew itself, but for the entire NASA and Roscosmos family working together, how grueling is this going to be to sustain the capabilities for a year to make this a successful mission?
Well, the marathon is a superb example or a superb description of this flight, because that's exactly what the mission to Mars is. It's not a sprint. It is unlike anything we've done before. A lot of us have been not worrying, but thinking for quite some time about what are the human challenges of a mission like this. And one of the ones that we've spent very little time doing anything with is what's the psychological impact. This will be the first time that we've had an American stay on orbit for a year. May not sound like a lot to some people, but let me tell you, as a person who did nothing but camping trips during my time in the shuttle, this is significant. And to move from 6 months to 1 year, we're going to see all kinds of things that are going to help us understand what the challenges are going to be for our crews as they venture off to Mars. So, and people should not lose sight of that fact. The International Space Station is our critical toehold to the rest of the solar system. It is, in fact, our stepping stone to deep space exploration for humans. And it's the only facility that we have right now that gets us away from Earth, gets us into an environment where we can really see what the human body undergoes in the microgravity environment of space, where we can see what semi-isolation is like on the human for long periods of time, and a year is a long period of time. So it's a very important mission for us.
Mark Kelly, contrary to public belief, this really is Mark Kelly, not Scott Kelly, without the mustache, Mark. Your brother Scott embarks on a mission like no other astronaut for the United States has ever embarked on. What do you think his state of mind is as he begins the flight, and why is he the right guy for this job?
You know, I had the press conference the other day with all the crew members, my brothers, you know, the crew, the prime crew and the backup crew. I thought Gennady Padalka said something interesting. And he said when he's in space, he wants to be home, and when he's at home, he wants to be in space. And I talked to my brother a little bit about that afterwards. And, you know, that's kind of the situation he feels he will fall into. I mean, right now he's really excited about this flight. He does realize that a year is a pretty substantial commitment. It's twice as long as what his other long-duration flight. But, you know, this is a marathon and not a sprint. But I imagine at some point during the flight, he's gonna think about coming home. And, you know, he doesn't know if that's going to be at 4 months or 8 months, or, you know, he can make it all the way to the end without, you know, that longing for getting back.
Nobody knows him better than you, obviously. You're military guys, so you're used to long stays away from home. Obviously, this has got to help, but this is a particularly significant flight in terms of the toll it could take psychologically as well as physically. How do you think he's going to respond to that?
You know, not only, you know, being away from home for a long time, and you know, there's an aspect of that makes him somewhat suitable for this. But I think it's also focusing on a mission and an objective and understanding that there are things more important than you as an individual. So he certainly has that mindset. That's why he's doing this. That's why he's volunteered for, you know, some science stuff that maybe everybody would not have volunteered for. Not that all that stuff is going to be done during this mission, but, you know, he's in this, he's committed to it, and, you know, we expect that it's going to return some pretty significant advances in how we understand human physiology and spaceflight.
And you're part of that, the twin study, if you will. Much has been made about this. What do you expect will be expected of you in terms of a ground-based subject, if you will, to compare to your identical twin brother?
Well, I've already started doing some of this, you know, the expectations that are on me. And even last year, I'd gone, you know, I made my first trip to Houston. I made another one here in 2015. I'll do others while he is in space, and then after he gets back. And what NASA does for me, I just give them a lot of data, you know, whether it's an MRI or an ultrasound or 20 tubes of blood or some other form of sample without going into detail. So I provide the data. There's about 10 different studies from a bunch of different universities. So, you know, this is pretty serious research when you have Harvard Medical School involved, Stanford, University of Pennsylvania, Johns Hopkins, and others. So I just provide the data, and they tell me where I need to be and when.
Finally, Mark, the key to a successful flight: pacing, being stoic. What are the qualities that will make this a successful flight for your brother?
Yeah, I think approaching this as a marathon and not a sprint. You know, he is certainly committed to the mission of NASA, you know, the mission of our space program, this specific extra long duration mission. So commitment is really important. You know, hard work, but, you know, understanding that it's not forever, it's a year. And, you know, he'll be back hopefully before we all know it.